Hello friends, and welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing exactly how I overcame EMF sensitivities, also known as electromagnetic hypersensitivity syndrome. And I did this by using a targeted blend of exposure therapy and brain rewiring. This method actually helped me retrain my nervous system to reduce chronic symptoms and reverse the symptoms that had once controlled my life. Now, if you are reacting to everyday things such as Wi-Fi, maybe your iPhones or smart meters, then I want you to know that you're not broken and that your brain has actually simply learned to associate these signals with danger. And with the right approach, you can actually retrain your response. And this is so powerful because I wish I'd have known this 10 years ago, because I actually just discovered the approach a few years ago, and I used it and I overcome my EMF sensitivities. So I do want to let you know that healing is possible. So you may be wondering what causes EMF sensitivities to spiral. Well, the brain can become hyper alert to certain exposures, even small ones, like maybe someone is actually using Bluetooth and it can actually set off symptoms in you. You may get headache, heart racing, dizziness, panic attacks, and the list goes on. But the scary part is that it can happen suddenly. In one moment you're fine with no sensitivities, and then whether you're going through stress or any kind of illness, maybe you're going through a divorce or you were exposed to a lot of chemicals or mold, then the threat center of the brain, which is the amygdala, can actually get stuck on high alert mode. And what really fuels the cycle isn't just the EMFs. It's actually the fear and the avoidance that follows. But the good news is that it is reversible. And you can avoid the EMFs, and that makes sense when your body is actually, you're getting symptoms. But it simply just reinforces the message to your brain that it is dangerous. And that's why exposure and rewiring, when done gently and consistently, can be such powerful tools to overcome EMF sensitivity. Now, this is what I used to do, and then I'll go over what I do now. But I first started when I was, in my healing journey, and I did start out with a neuroplasticity program, and I exposed, and in that program it taught me to expose myself to a small EMF trigger, and then go into a round and rewire my limbic system. And that helped a lot early on, but I eventually found something that worked even better. And I now recommend this to everyone in my Brain Rewiring 360 course. This method is actually more effective. So what I do is I gently expose myself to a trigger, like maybe I'll turn on Wi-Fi briefly and just simply allow the symptoms to rise, because they're going to happen. And then just pair it with a positive memory or experience, and then just allow the symptoms to be there and then go about your day and do something normal. Instead of reacting with fear or panic, just simply go about your day, and this actually will send a clear message to your brain that you're safe and you're calm and that this isn't dangerous. And the good news is that over time the volume of symptoms start to dial down, and because the brain is now actually starting to understand that you're okay and that it's not dangerous, and the nervous system can actually just start adapting to these exposures over time. But just pick a mild trigger to start with, and just start with something small, like maybe holding your phone in airplane mode, and then simply turn on Bluetooth, even if it's just for a moment. Now, most likely it's going to bring up symptoms right away. You're going to get a feedback pretty quick. And now just associate that with something that feels good, like connecting it to something that makes you happy, like time that you spent with a loved one, or maybe your favorite song, or dancing, or just pair it with a vivid, positive memory. So I'd hold the phone briefly and I'd bring up a powerful, happy memory. Remember, I was walking in Central Park with my best friend, and we were listening to music, and we were dancing and laughing in the sun, and just, being totally carefree. And I had my phone in my hand, and I'm taking pictures, and we're dancing around, and we're feeling alive and joyful. And, just make it memory sensory rich as possible. So you can imagine the sounds that you're hearing, the smells, the sights, and the emotions. And this activates dose chemicals in your brain, which is actually dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. And these are so healing to your body. So just sit in the positive response. And now let the symptoms rise without pushing them away. And then stay anchored in this positive, happy memory. And let your body feel what it's feeling while your mind actually stays rooted in safety and joy. Now, this contrast actually teaches your brain that maybe it isn't dangerous after all. So, it's really important that you just re-engage with life. So that when you expose yourself, just after about 15-20 minutes of exposure, then just pair it with a positive memory, and then just go on totally about your day and just do normal things like, make a tea, take a walk, clean the kitchen, whatever. And then just tells your brain that we're not stuck, we're still living, and we're moving on. Also, I got more comfortable. I expanded my exposure. So sitting next to a Wi-Fi router for a few minutes, using a laptop with, just not with no shielding whatsoever. And then turning on Bluetooth. And each one used to bring on panic. But the good news is that I started using these approach. And then one time I did this approach, I remember, something really changed. It was one of my biggest breakthroughs. And it came from using my iPhone camera. And I used to avoid turning it on. But one day I tried and something beautiful happened. As I looked, I was looking at these old pictures. And I found one with me and my grandma. And we were baking in our kitchen, and that memory actually grounded me. And I was able to associate that memory with her, and then I turned the phone on, and then I looked at the photo, and it brought up the memories, and of course they were all good because we were like best friends. And I let my nervous system feel both the EMF trigger and the safety of that moment, and this was so powerful. I can't tell you. It just brought back memories, and it felt so good. And I was happy, and I could actually, feel her presence. It was amazing. And it was a calming moment, and that's when I knew that this was working. So this formula is actually very simple. All you have to do is just take a small exposure, and then pair it with a warm, safe memory. And then simply re-engage with life. And you can do this 4 or 5 times a day. And each time, just keep reminding yourself that this is healing. I want this to trigger. I want symptoms. So this way you can simply show your brain that you're safe. And, it'll allow the symptoms to eventually just go away. And as far as a time frame, what you can expect, I do want to be honest with you. It did take me about 6 weeks to fully retrain my response. Some days were really tough, and I did get symptoms, and you are going to get symptoms. But keep going, because little by little it worked. And my advice is to commit to 1 hour a day for at least 30 days. And you can just break it up into small, manageable steps so that you don't get a nervous system reaction. So even if it doesn't feel like it's working right away, just simply trust the process, because rewiring takes repetition and consistency. And the whole name of the game is just consistency. As long as you're consistent with it and you are happy and calm in the presence of the trigger, then your brain will start to stop sending you symptoms, and it will, it'll adapt, and you'll no longer have symptoms around the trigger. So a bonus tip is that I really want to explain that you can actually pair it with dancing. It's very powerful if you're dancing and smiling and you're moving while your brain thinks it's in danger. Well, this is actually sending a powerful signal to your brain that you're okay. And now this contrast is actually rewires your brain pretty quickly. So like I said, symptoms will come up, but don't quit. Just get comfortable in the discomfort. I know that sounds weird, but you don't have to live in fear of EMFs forever. You don't need to live in avoidance, which only heightens that stress response. You just need to retrain your brain and send it the right signals so that you don't have to worry about this anymore. So this can, use this exposure with a memory and let the symptoms rise, and then re-engage in life. Repeat daily. And that's the best way to overcome EMF sensitivities and all the chaos that comes with it. And if I can overcome EMF sensitivity, so can you. You're not broken, you're healing. And you can start today with a whole new mindset. And if this helped, please give it a thumbs up, like, and subscribe, because I'll actually be sharing more on this. So Let me know in the comments below if this video helped you, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.